short daf, very short daf once again. Today's daf is daf ayin, okay? And we're going to be starting for Be'ez Hashem, daf samach tes omud sheni, about 3 lines from the bottom. Again, we're dealing with questions, theoretical questions that Rabba or Rava were asking, and we're trying to figure out the answers for them. So, Boya Rabba asked a question. We know, let's say, a husband could revoke his wife's neder or confirm his wife's neder. So, right? So, what happens if a man says to his wife, "Kaim lechi hayoim"? Today, your neder is confirmed. Well, what does that mean today? This hayom, what does that mean? Once you confirm something, it's confirmed forever. Once you revoke something, it's revoked forever. So what did he mean by saying kayim lechi hayom? It's revoked, it's confirmed for today. Mao, what do we mean by that? Mi amrinim, do you say, Commander Omar, it's as if he says, mufar lechu lemachar. It's implied that he's trying to say is that tomorrow your neder is revoked. But the problem with that is, if that's what he's implying, it makes totally no sense. Because, hi, Lewis, we just began. Because, we're just 3 lines from the bottom. So a man said, Kaim lechi hayom. He said to his wife, I'm confirming your neder just for today. But you only have 1 day to decide if you want your wife's neder or you want to revoke the neder. So what do you mean, I'm confirming your neder for today? The Gemara says, does that mean, as if he's saying, mufa lechei lemachar, that tomorrow that neder should be revoked? And maybe he's saying, I want to revoke the neder tomorrow. Can that work? But well, the Chumash says you only have 1 day to revoke the neder, 1 day to revoke the neder, and it has to be on the day that you hear about the neder. You can't revoke it in a week. So maybe it's as if he says, I want to revoke it tomorrow. Since it can't be revoked tomorrow, so therefore he doesn't know. So he really wants it to be revoked. So we give credence that he means today the whole thing's revoked. It's as if he's saying, I'm revoking it today, maybe. Or Dilma, or maybe, don't infer from people's language. He never said that. He just said, it's confirmed for today. That's it. And maybe if he would say, it would not work either, because he can't revoke tomorrow. And he didn't say it's revoked for tomorrow. He just said, I want it to be confirmed for today. So maybe it's confirmed. Even though, why did you have to say it's confirmed just for today? It's once you confirm it, it's confirmed forever. So that's the question. And then we go on top of Ayin Amar Aleph. In Tim Tzulaimi, if you want to say, he didn't say it's revoked. So if you don't say it's revoked, automatically we say it's Kiyim Lecha. It's confirmed. You said it's confirmed for 1 day. You don't know the halacha. It's confirmed forever. Fine. Let us say that it's confirmed forever. Amallah, but let's say he said to a woman, he said to his wife, Mufa lechi lemachar. He didn't say anything. He doesn't say it's confirmed. He says, I want to revoke, but not today. I want to revoke it tomorrow. So can you revoke it tomorrow? Right off the bat, we would say you can't do that. So therefore, Mahu, do we say, Lemacha loy matzi mefer. Tomorrow you cannot revoke. So because by you not saying anything, it's automatically you're implying that today the neder should be in effect. Once the neder takes effect, you don't get another chance to revoke. So therefore, that saying that it should be revoked tomorrow is a wasted words. It means nothing. Or maybe at the end of the day, he didn't say, I want to confirm it for today. You're just making an inference that the fact that he wants to revoke it for tomorrow, he wants to keep it for today. But did he actually say he wants to keep it for today? He did not. So when he said, I want it to be revoked tomorrow, maybe he doesn't know the halacha, or maybe it's a slip of the tongue. He means to say, Mahayon Kama. I want it to be mufar. I want it to be revoked at the first possible moment, when I'm supposed to. Not tomorrow, but today. So again, the guy has it all wrong and adding in days into his expression of confirmation or revocation of his wife. We don't know what he means. The intim Solomon. Let us say, afilahachi, even if you say you want it to revoke tomorrow, so we'll infer that you want it to be kept today. Even the kaima hayoim, since you confirmed it today, lamacha command the isadame. It's tomorrow. It's the neder still in effect because you can't revoke a neder once you already confirmed it. So let us say a man says, tomorrow, Miss Lady, my wife, tomorrow I am revoking your neder. So since you can't revoke it tomorrow, automatically it's as if you're saying, I want it to be in effect today. So the neder takes effect and you can never revoke such a neder. Okay, I'll get it. But what happens if a guy says, and here is a good question, he told his wife for the first hour, let's say it's 2:00 in the afternoon, and he says to his wife, I just heard that you made a neder. Okay, so for the first hour, I want to confirm it. That's all he said. Maho, what does that mean? I just want to confirm it for 1 hour. Everybody knows you're confirming a neder for 1 hour. What happens after the hour? What did he mean? Okay, so again, you could always ask him what he meant, but sometimes we don't trust what he meant. We have to monitor his words. So if a man says to his wife, your neder is confirmed for 1 hour, what does he mean? Me, I'm reading, do we say, command Omar law? It's as if he said, Mufe lechi la'acha shah, that he means to imply that tomorrow, after the first hour, I'm revoking the neder. And perhaps that can work. You kept it for an hour. You said, I wanted to keep it for an hour. But then from 3:00 in the afternoon, from 2 to 3, you have the neder. 3:00, I want to revoke it. Because you have the power to revoke neders only up until sunset. The first time you hear it, you have until sunset. So maybe you can keep it for an hour and then revoke it. Or Dilma, first of all, Holei Amalah. He didn't say, I want to revoke it. So maybe he just said, I want to keep it for an hour, and that means nothing. So maybe he wants to keep it forever. So he didn't say, I want to revoke it right after that. If you want to say that's correct, that he didn't say, I want to revoke the neder, miu amala mayu. This is a beautiful question. If he did say that, so a man goes over to his wife and says, honey, you made a neder. I just heard about it. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. I want you to keep it for an hour. And then after the first hour, it should be revoked. Now, does that work? You kept it for an hour and you want to revoke it. Me, I mean, and do you say kivan de kime, since you confirmed the neder, kimo, it's you only get one chance at bat, it's confirmed forever. Or do you say, kivan de kuli yomi bar hakamo bar hafaru, the Chumash gives the husband the right, one day up until sunset, you can decide confirming, you can decide revoking. So maybe play around. 1 hour I'm going to confirm, 1 hour I'm going to makayim the neder, 1 hour I'm going to wait for the neder. You can say that afterwards, after the first hour that you can keep the neder, then it's revoked. Mahani, it would help. So what is the din? Is there confirmation and revocation for an hour, for a short period of time? So Tashma, come in here. And the Gemara is going to prove that, no, once you said it's okay, once you said confirmed, it's confirmed forever. Tashma, well, the Gemara brings a proof. A woman says, Hareini Nazira. A woman says, I want to be a Nazir. You know, this is like a trick question they ask on Smicha tests. Can a woman become a Nazir? So you start, Righteous is a mitzvah's essay, Shazman Grama, you start fetching around. But the truth is that Chumash says Isha can become a Nazir. So a woman, a wife, said, "I want to become a Nazir." V'shama bala, and the husband heard v'ama v'ani. He said, "That's a good idea. I also want to become a Nazir."
Excuse me, can or cannot become a Nazir?
What?
Can or cannot become a Nazir?
Can become a Nazir. It's yes. Of course, she can become a Nazir. It's an open piece in the Chumash that says, on a trick question, what they ask people who don't learn Chumash, they will ask him a question, can a woman become a Nazir? So he'll start declaring, well, it's a mitzvah's essay, shazman grama, shaloi hazman grama, woman maybe can't, and they'll try to figure this thing out without reading the Chumash, where the Chumash clearly says a woman could become a Nazir. She's not going to grow a beard or anything like that, but she still can't attend the funeral. So a woman said, Hareini Nazira, I want to be a Nazir. And her husband heard and said, I also. So he must have confirmed her Naziris, because otherwise, if she's not confirmed, by him saying I also means that I also what? It's only because she's a Nazir and he's saying, I want to be like you. So therefore, he's confirming her Naziris. Once he confirmed her Naziris, Ein Yochel Lahafir, he can never revoke that Naziris of his wife. Then she's a Nazir forever. So the Gemara is, Va'amai, why can't he revoke her Naziris? Nema, let him say, Ba'ani, I also want to be a Nazir. The Amahu al Nafshei Dahavi Nazir, he also wants to be a Nazir. But he can say that I only agree that you should be a Nazir for 1 hour. And the next hour, I want to have the right to revoke your Naziris. So for the first hour, where I wanted to say, I'm going to be like you, so I said that you're a Nazir, I confirmed you're a Nazira, and I'm like you, so I'm also a Nazir. But now I want to revoke it. Why don't we say that 1 hour he wanted her to be a Nazir, and then after the first hour, if he wants, he can revoke it. Amai, what does this Mishnah say? He cannot revoke his wife's Naziris. Lav mishum, don't you say, kiman the kimoi. As soon as you confirm your wife's neder or Naziris, even for a moment, it lasts forever. So here you have a clear proof that once the person says that I want my wife's neder to take effect, it takes effect forever. So you can't do it for the hour. And says the Gemara Loi, it's not such a clear proof, because all he said ksava, when he says that Braiso, that Mishnah holds, kol va'ani, when he says I want to be like you, my wife, command the oma kaim lechi la'olam. It's as if he said, my wife, I want you to be a nazir forever, dummy. That's why he can never revoke it. Because he, by va'ani, he's saying, I want to be like you, because I want to be like you, because I'm thinking, I hold that you want to be a Nazir forever, Nazira forever, and I want to be like you, says the husband. So there it doesn't work. But if a guy says to his wife, he says specifically, I want your neder to last for an hour, and then I want to revoke it, perhaps that can work. So the Gemara leaves that unresolved, and that's how we end that sugi. It's unresolved. So in a chanami, if a woman makes a neder and his wife says, and her husband says, keep the neder for an hour and then I want it revoked, we don't know. Perhaps it is revoked, perhaps it's not revoked, so it's a suffix neder, and therefore she still has to keep it. New Mishnah. This we saw in the previous sugya. New Mishnah. Let's say a Naira Hamurasa, 12-year-old girl, what? She's engaged, correct? And the 12-year-old girl, the Chumash says, two of them, the husband and the father, the husband and the father are both involved are partners to revoke her neder. Like one cannot do without the other. So let's say a girl is engaged, and then what happens? And then she made a neder. So technically, you need the father and the husband to revoke her neder. But what happens? Meisa'av, the father died. Does the power to revoke this neder revert to her husband? But at the end of the day, he didn't marry her yet. He's only engaged to her. It was not the power of the father does not empty to the husband. But if the opposite scenario happened, if the husband died and he didn't marry her, right? The point is he didn't marry, he just got engaged to her, then just the opposite. Then the father takes the power and he's in control again and he can revoke her neder. This is a scenario. The father is more powerful than the husband, okay? Because he retains power after the death of his partner. Masha'en Kain, if the father died, the power does not revert to the husband. But, says the Mishnah, b'daba'acha, in another situation, yafeh koyach habal mikoyach ha'av. The husband can be more powerful than the father. Let us say, let's listen to this case. A man's engaged to a 12-and-a-half-year-old girl, to a 12-year-old girl, okay? And he didn't marry her yet. But then she turned 12 and a half. She turned 13. He didn't marry her yet. There, once she turned to a bogeres, a mature girl, then the husband has a right to mefer the neder. Shahabal mefer bebeger. A baal, a husband, can revoke an adult girl and his adult wife's neder. Va'av, but the father loses the power as soon as she turns into 12 and a half. Eina mefer bebeger. He cannot revoke his adult daughter's vow. He loses his power once she turned 12 and a half. The husband gets the power when she turns 12 and a half. So we're going to see more about that in the Gemara today. So the Gemara says, my tama. The Gemara's question is, why don't we say it's equal? Why don't we say that when the father dies, the power goes to the husband, and when the husband dies, the power goes to the father? Why do we say there's a differentiation? The Amakra, because the pasuk says, "Binurel beisabia," a girl is always considered her father's baby, and therefore, even if the father dies, he retains the power, and the husband cannot alone revoke her nedarim. It doesn't work because even as she's a 12-year-old girl, she's always considered in her daddy's home, even if the daddy died. Now, but what happens? Meis habal, if the husband died, nisroik nishrus la'av, then we say the power reverts to the husband. Now, to the father. If the husband died, then the power of this neder that she made when both of them were alive now can be revoked by just the father alone because he's the only surviving of the two partners. The husband died. Minolan, how do you know that's true? Rabba said, the Amakra, because we have a pasuk, Vim hoya sial ish, if this na'ara, this 12-year-old girl, married a man, then the husband has a right to revoke her neder. Hoya sia seems to imply that she got married twice. But let's see what this means. So we go to Ayin Amid Beis, Makish koidme habaya shnia lekoidme habaya rishona. What the Chumash is trying to say is that the Chumash is saying that hoya sia, that means a girl who got engaged to a fiancé, then the husband died. So now she could potentially get engaged to somebody else. And there's a hekesh that just like before marriage number one, before engagement number one, I should say, the power was all in the father. Before she gets engaged to husband number two, the power is all in the father. Ma koidme habaya rishayna. So that's where you have a hekesh between the prior engagement of the second to the prior engagement of the first. Ma koidme habaya rishayna. Before she got engaged to the first guy, there was no husband involved there. So then who was the power? The total power was the father. Av made for the fudei. The father could revoke Nadarim by himself. Af koideme havaya shenia. Before she gets engaged to the second guy, what means the first fiance died. So now she's back to square one, and she's getting ready to get engaged to number two. During that in between period, before her engagement to guy number two, Av mever lefudei, the father can revoke by himself. So the Gemara says, what do you mean he can revoke every neder? What about those nedarim that were made when the first husband was around before she died? When do we say he can revoke nedarim? Is only nedarim that she made when the husband died, the first fiance died. How do you know it refers to nedarim that she made when the first fiance was still around? Why don't you say, when do you give the power to the father? B'nedarim shalei nirul aris, by nedarim that the first fiance never knew about. But for nedarim that the first fiance knew about and then died, maybe we won't give now the power to the father to revoke it. Maybe the father will not be able to revoke such a neder. So maybe once there was a partner involved here, the husband, the first fiance, even when he dies, it does not fully go. We don't fully give the power back to the father. So the Gemara says, no, that's not true. Even Nedarim shaloi niru la'aris, if the Chumash was referring to Nedarim that were never met by the husband, that based on that we know that a girl is always considered to be in the power of her father. Any neder that she made and that there's no other partner, the father has full power. So what is the Chumash giving you extra power to the father? That even if she made a neder when her first fiance was still alive, and then the first fiance died, now the power to revoke the neder belongs to the father again. And because of that hekesh, just like prior to the first fiance, he can revoke all nedarim. So prior to the second fiance, no matter what neder, when the neder was made, the father could revoke it. But I want to point out, if she does get engaged to fiance number 2, then all nedarim are back on the table, and the power is shared between father and fiance number 2. One more piece of the Gemara. We said that the husband has power, because if this girl that's engaged to the husband, she's 12 when she got engaged. Now she turned 13 or whatever. She's 13. The father is out of the picture anymore. She's no more Nureh. She's no more daddy's daughter. So then she's an adult girl. The power for revoking nedarim are in the hands of the husband. The Gemara says, "Hey Kedami, what is the case that the Mishnah is talking about? Ilema, would you say kishikitcha kishinara? Ubagra, he gave kedushin to her when she was 12, and now she's 12 and a half, 13. So therefore, the power belongs to the father. So the question is, michte, let us see, misa maitzia, ubagras maitzia. When a father dies, nobody else can revoke her nedarim. Let's say a girl who's 12 years old, she didn't get engaged. When she dies, when the dad dies, none of the brothers can revoke her neder. Once the father dies, she leaves the jurisdiction of her father. Nobody else can replace her father. And we also find ubagris maitzia mishusav. And when she returns to be an adult, right, she leaves her father's domain. So even if her father's alive, if she turns into adult, the Chumash says she's out of her father's domain. She's in her own jurisdiction. So ma misa, just like when she dies, it doesn't empty to the husband. We just learned that when the father dies, the power doesn't revert to the husband. So why don't we say af progress, even if she turned into an adult? That's the question. Why don't we say that it does not go into the hands of the husband? If they got engaged together, so the Gemara is now taking a pivot. They got engaged by 12, and there's a husband and father who are partners in her jurisdiction. Even if she turns 12 and a half and now leaves the father's domain, she should not be going back to the husband's domain. She should not revert to the husband's domain. Because just like when the father dies, we don't say the power goes to the father. So even if she turned into an adult, the power should not go to the husband. It doesn't. So what does the Mishnah mean? So answers the Gemara, our Mishnah is talking about he was mekadosh her, a girl, when she was an adult girl. Let's say he was mekadosh, a husband was mekadosh his wife when she's 18 years old. So then the husband, now she's in the domain of her husband, and now the power belongs to the husband. So the Gemara says, why does our Mishnah need to teach us that? Tanina chadazimna. We learned it one time. We learned this idea, chadazimna, not that we learned it already, but we're going to go to Daf Ayin Gimel Amid Beis, and there you'll find the Mishnah that says, according to one opinion. I want to point that out to you. Let's just see the Mishnah in a second. I want to point to the Mishnah. Here's the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Gimel Amid Aleph, Amid Beis. Here the Mishnah says, Begeres shasa, a Begeres that waited 12 months, or Reb Lezer says that even though they didn't get fully to the chuppah yet, but if she's a Begeres, Reb Lezer holds that the husband has a right to revoke her nedarim. The Chachamim say no, ain't a Baal Mefer. That's what it's a machlekes over there between Reb Lezer and the Chachamim. So our Mishnah goes according to Reb Lezer. But the question is, this ideas were taught already. Were taught already in later on. So a begeres that waited 12 months, the husband, according to Reb Lezer, could revoke her nedarim. So first the Gemara opens parentheses and says a side thing. Why doesn't, if you engage to an 18-year-old girl, why do we give her 12 months to get married? An 18-year-old girl presumably doesn't need 12 months to get married. Hagufa Kashi, I have a very strong question. Amrit Habegeres Shashas Neim Asa Chaydish. You're telling me that every adult girl that gets engaged needs to wait 12 months? Begeres Lama Lish Neim Asa Chaydish. Why does she need 12 months? Begeres Lamed Yom Sagila. An adult girl, when you get engaged to an adult girl, we should give a maximum 30 days for her to get ready to the wedding. Why do we allow a begeres to have 12 months time for the wedding, to push off the wedding? So the truth is, right, a begeres should get married after 30 days that she got engaged. But if she was 12 years old, or 12 and a half when she got engaged, then we give a minimum of 12 months. We learned begeres, a girl who's, an adult girl, then an adult girl is definitely 30 days. Or if she was 12 and a half, we give her 12 months. Either way, if she's not coming to the table to the chuppah yet, the husband has to give her food, or whoever is the responsible. But let's assume the husband didn't marry her. He has to provide food for her, even though they didn't go to the chuppah yet. But he also has the power, according to Rabbi Eliezer, to revoke her nedarim. So therefore, that's what we see in the Mishnah on Daf Ayin Gimel Amud Beis. So therefore, the question over here is, why does the Mishnah need to tell you this over here on Daf Ayin Amud Al? Call Mokum Kasha. I have a question. Why is it said over here when the main story should be over there? To the Gemara, Iba is saying, I can give you two terusim. Hacha Dafka. Over here means we start talking about a begeres and tell you that according to one opinion, a begeres, father of a man got engaged to a begeres, he can revoke her nedarim, even though they didn't get married yet. He can revoke her nedarim. Or begeres katana hasam, but the one that it says it over there, mishum deboy iflegei Reb Lezer Rabbanim. There it wants to tell you that it's not everybody holds that, it's Reb Lezer and the Rabbanim. So even though we're going to learn Be'ez Hashem between Ayin, today's page, and Ayin Gimel, there's a lot of Mishnayos in between, but sometimes a Mishnah will open a topic and it continues. The topic continues in a few Mishnayos later, and it's all considered one. It's not like an interruption or a repeat. It's all continued to be as one statement. No, here it says that our Mishnah, we open the topic and saying that sometimes if a husband gets engaged to an 18-year-old girl, after 30 days, he can start revoking her neder. And later on, explain that that's only the opinion of Rabbi Lezer, not the Rabbanim. Iba is saying, but if you want, I can tell you that really there are actually two different topics, and it's repeating himself. The real main topic is over there. That's the real discussion. But why do we bring it in over here? Because since we said in the beginning of the Mishnah that the father has power, so we want to make it uniform and say, oh, by the way, the husband also has power, but it's really brought in as a side point because it's only one opinion that holds that. So that's why we bring it in over here, but not that we open the discussion here. We actually opened the discussion a few blot later. Begeres Dafka, we bring it over here, but not as the opening topic. But I did in Siv Reish Bezeh and the Siv Reish Nash Zami Sefer Bezeh. Beginning of the Mishnah, we discussed the power of the father over the husband. So now we end off And I'll end off the discussion saying that the husband also has power over the father, and that he can revoke his adult wife's neder, even though he didn't marry her yet. But if he waited a long time and she was an adult when he got engaged to her, waited 30 days, he can start revoking that neder according to Rabbi Eliezer. Okay.